All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless me here talking real music in real time for two or three real people out there just like you and just like me. 1.6 people out there. Going to be talking about the whole Glenn Fry, Don Henley, Joe Walsh, Don Felder thing. Just because Joe Walsh is talking in this article, People Magazine article, and it's kind of interesting how they've ended up just ghosting Don Felder. Before I go there, here is The Wilder Blue, just a really sensational album. I showcase this when I talk about the Eagles because if you like the early days of the Eagles, I think you'll dig The Wilder Blue. All right, so here they are. They are from Texas, and they've got the goods. They've got that early Eagles sound. And at least in one case, they actually sound a bit like Fleetwood Mac. So I think you're going to like this. I don't know why you wouldn't like it. But in case you're looking for some supplemental music, if you've listened to Hotel California more than you want to, it's a great song. And we're going to be talking about that in this article. You may want something new to listen to. I know that's kind of weird for some people. A lot of people are just giving up on new material. And I try to find it, and I try to put it out there for folks. And I do it kind of repetitively because sometimes people don't get it the first time. They want to hear about Joe Walsh and Don Felder and how they're, I guess, not friends anymore. It's just not, I guess, because of the contract that Don wouldn't sign back in the day, that Joe Walsh and Don Felder aren't friends anymore. Glenn Fry is gone. Supposedly Glenn didn't like Felder probably more than anyone else in the band. Like, he had this dislike for Felder. Was it the long night at Long Beach? Almost came to blows. Beer bottles were thrown or something. I can't remember the whole story, but Felder broke a guitar, I think, and then jumped in the limo, and the limo sped off, and just not a good situation. Felder really brought that band to a new level. There's no question about it. Adding Joe Walsh, which this article is primarily about Joe Walsh, that again was a stroke of genius. If you wanted to get this band to be more like the Rolling Stones or Led Zeppelin at the time, and not just some soft rock country band, which they kind of were at that point, with a few minor exceptions here and there, they achieved that goal. Again, you can't take away from Don Felder the fact that he wrote all the music to Hotel California, and legend has it that the early records had it, Felder, Henley, Fry, as far as the songwriting goes. And then somewhere down the road, it was reversed to read Henley, Fry, and Felder. So this is why I think Don Felder kind of blew a gasket, because he's just like, look, this is the most iconic song this band has ever written. And yes, kudos, like I always say, to Don Henley, and probably with some minor help from Glenn Fry, writing those lyrics. It sounds like a Henley song lyrically, but musically, that song is a Don Felder masterpiece from start to finish. So Joe Walsh, he's talking here in this People Magazine article about his sobriety, about how great life is, about how he's so grateful that he played on Hotel California. Like, that's the pinnacle of his career. A song that Don Felder wrote and gets no mention. We hear a lot about Henley and Fry. The article says that Henley and Fry wanted to get the band back together. I don't know if that's true. I think that the impetus for getting the Eagles back together again was that country tribute album that came out. And you had like Travis Tritt doing Take It Easy. And you had Vince Gill, of all people, on there, I think, doing I Can't Tell You Why. And country was really big at that moment. And so you bring all those people together. They love on the Eagles. They put out this album, and there's tons of interest in it. So yeah, maybe Irving Azoff got on the phone and said, guys, this is the time to do it. If you're going to do it, they were all worried about Joe Walsh. How are we going to get Joe Walsh back in the band? And they said, Felder. We got to get Felder so we can get Joe Walsh back in the band. And that's what happened. Whether it was Felder helping Joe get to the meetings or just being an encouragement. I mean, if you listen to Don Felder talk, he's like the sunniest personality. I mean, his voice, I mean, his tone, even when he gets a little agitated, he's still not as, like Don Henley, you look at him and it's like, dude's really mad. Even when he's performing, he looks mad on stage. Why is Don Henley mad? You know, and Fry's not here anymore. So I'm thinking to myself, after all this time, maybe give Felder some credit. Joe Walsh, you guys were buddies, but yet no mention in this article. A lot of good stuff that Joe Walsh does, like he does the Vets Aid concert, much like Eric Clapton does Crossroads. Joe does this concert for veterans because, you know, the veterans here in the United States, I think they're committing suicide, something like 22 a day, which is just crazy. And so this concert is obviously there to raise awareness. It brings in a whole bunch of different people. So it's kind of like a star-studded, all-star band type of thing. You know, Joe's doing a lot of good things out there. He's still in the band. He's still playing well. His singing these days, yeah, he's starting to lose it vocally. It wasn't a good thing for him to sing Fins as a tribute to Jimmy Buffett. That did not work very well. However, getting back to the point of this is that Felder did a lot. Felder wrote the music to the band's most famous song. Felder helped Joe Walsh get back in the band. So why is Felder not in the band today? Because he wanted that original contract to be honored, the one that he signed like back in 1975 or 74, whenever he signed it, where everybody was equal in the band. Everybody had an equal stake in the band. And of course, Henley and Fry came along later, especially Henley, and saying, sorry, nope, not anymore. We've decided to change things because Glenn and I, this is Henley, we do all the work. We're the ones coming up with all the ideas. We're doing, you know, most of the singing. And guys like Tim Schmidt, who are just happy to be along for the ride. And Glenn Fry made fun of Poco during the documentary, said, yeah, they're at some Holiday Inn somewhere, you know, making like $300 for a gig. And this is a little bit bigger. So, of course, Tim's going to come along to replace Randy. But this was a toxic band. And the Eagles didn't like to be outed. The book that Felder wrote told the truth. Nobody ever refuted what Felder said in that book. And I'm thinking that Felder probably forgot a lot of things because everybody was, you know, partaking in certain substances, and maybe their thinking wasn't very clear. And later on, your memory forgets things. Joe Walsh likes to say, you know, I was told, you know, I had a really good time. I don't remember any of it, you know, and that's supposed to be funny. And people laugh, and it is funny. It's very funny, but it's not funny that on this last tour, this long goodbye, you know, long road out of Eden, whatever you want to call it, that there's no like one-off appearance with Don Felder, maybe select dates with Don Felder, something. Just say, hey, hell froze over a second time. That's all you got to say. You know, if you guys could do it the first time, you could do it again with Felder. And the fact that Joe Walsh can't even mention Felder in an article and say, yeah, my old buddy Don Felder helped me get to those AA meetings, or yeah, give Don Felder credit for writing this amazing song. And he even had my guitar parts in mind when he wrote the song, that we were going to trade guitar licks and go back and forth. And that guitar solo where we try to outdo each other, and there's tons of creativity there. Felder was a part of that. And so I just think I've been saying this over and over again in videos for a number of years, that it's just ridiculous that they don't bury the hatchet, especially if they're almost done. If this truly is, the end of the road for the Eagles, why keep this going? Why keep the grudge going? I think Don Felder probably has been punished enough because he wanted the contract to be the contract he signed way back when. And yeah, here's my theory for Don Henley, who says, he and Glenn doing most of the work. Okay, lyrically, yes, maybe writing songs too. But here's the thing. Don Felder gets grandfathered in because of Hotel California to everything. I mean, because that's what's making you money. You turn on the radio, you can't escape the song. It's overplayed. And hence, this is why you need some new material. The Wilder Blue, right here. If you're tired of listening to Hotel California every 15 minutes on the radio, then check out some new material. You won't hear this on the radio, so you're going to have to do it yourself. It's a do-it-yourself project, but these guys are good. They've got other music out there as well you can check out. And also, folks, modernretrofm.com. Great radio station playing new material by Van Morrison, Eric Clapton, the Rolling Stones, and many others. Stuff that you won't hear on terrestrial radio stations because they're just stuck in the past, which is a shame. So anyway, folks, I think it would be cool to see Don Felder back up there on stage. Do I think it's going to happen? Nope, I don't.